Hey Tae, what's up?
Nothing much, just chilling with my Mason Perrier Forever Grapefruit drink. How about you?
Oh, I got some water.
I know you're a water fiend.
Mother Nature's favorite beverage.
Exactly.
Low-key, my brain is rotting. I've been scrolling through TikTok all day.
I know, and you're not even a TikTok user.
I'm not a TikTok user, but I made us a TikTok.
Yeah, go follow us, guys.
Media Addicts Anonymous podcast now has a TikTok. It's called Media Addicts Anonymous. Did you know, Tae, that we now have 32 followers and counting
on TikTok? Wait, that's kind of crazy, actually.
Isn't that crazy? It's extremely low for TikTok. But
for like
it's crazy.
2 days of having had it, I feel like that's pretty good.
It's all you, because the TikTok videos we have up right now are just you talking about Nico D'Angelo.
I'm glad that's drawing in the people.
I think people are really relating to it. So follow us on TikTok. Give us some likes. We need them. Especially Tumblr. Begrudgingly, we reached out to TikTok to try to get some more engagement. But let's be for real. Like, the audience that we're geared towards, it's on Tumblr. Tumblr lurkers, we're trying to reach you.
Yeah, you're our people. I literally just got done posting on Tumblr, so...
We kin you.
We're one of you.
I went to go see Beetlejuice today, or as I believe it's called, Beetlejuice.
Ooh, is that a movie?
Yeah, it's a sequel to Beetlejuice.
But it was not good.
It was not a sleigh. I was really excited at the beginning to hear that Danny Elfman score. The movie was all over the place. The plot was like, where is this plot? I couldn't tell who the main character was, and yet it wasn't like an ensemble vibe either. Very confusing. There was one twist that was like really good, and then it was immediately abandoned. I am embarrassed to say that I was disappointed because I'm embarrassed to admit that I actually had some hopes for it.
But that's the problem these days, isn't it? Like, every sequel is shit.
Everything is shit.
Yeah, media is just so bad these days.
Media is so bad, and we've been told that we're supposed to try to be more positive now, but
one of our fans' suggestions.
How can we be expected to do that in this economy?
I guess we just have to look to indie work, you know? Indie film studios.
This is true. As much as I am bereaved about the takeover of AMC over like all of my local theaters, I do love, and if people aren't doing this, you absolutely should, but I love AMC Discount Tuesdays, because if you go to a matinee, it's $6.
Slay.
My family and I love doing that. But the problem has been recently, like, we wanted to go to the movies. We want to go spend $6 on a matinee, but there's nothing good to see.
No, literally.
I'm not going to go see the Minion movie. Sorry.
Actually, I probably would go see the Minion movie.
Then do it.
Okay, well, I actually won't. I know it's so ironic because we're literally called Media Addicts Anonymous, but I'm not really in my consuming media era right now.
That's not true. You read all of Dungeon Meshi.
That was it. Like, Dungeon Meshi has been, like, all the things I've been consuming. Like, over this entire summer, I think I've seen maybe, like, 3 movies, something like that.
You know, I actually might have to agree with you. Because I watched The Owl House, and that is pretty much it. And then I saw Beetlejuice today. Because I guess I do a lot of, like, short form content. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm wasting time, but there's nothing good, and I think that's why I'm not in my consumer era. What would you say for yourself?
Because there's some things that I know would be good that I do want to see. Like, I want to watch Abbott Elementary. I want to watch, like, Community and stuff, and I feel like those are all shows that people have said are, like, pretty good. But I just haven't started them because it just seems very overwhelming, and I don't want to, like, feel things.
Yeah, no, that's so valid. I mean, I've already watched both of those shows,
right.
And I just feel like I've watched everything good.
Yeah, you should watch Scavenger's Reign.
Yeah, that's on my list.
And Dragon Age Absolution.
Oh, yes. Third time plug, I think, on this podcast.
Potentially, yeah. At least the second. Okay, honestly, don't get your hopes up, like, too much. It's not, like, that fire, but it's pretty good.
It better change my life, or I'm holding you accountable.
Well, Scavenger's Reign will change your life if you don't find it boring. Because, like, I swear, everyone I've recommended that show to has been like, I quit because it was too boring. No, it's so funny because I watched it with, like, two of my friends, and we binged it in, like, 2 nights or something like that. And we were, like, so enthralled. Like, we actually felt like different people after consuming that show. Scavenger's Reign is on a completely different level than the sci-fi that's coming out, the other sci-fi that's coming out these days. Because my pet peeve with a lot of sci-fi genres, like, you know I watch some Star Trek shows and stuff like that, so I do consume some sci-fi content, but, like, my big issue with sci-fi as a genre is I just feel like it's so unrealistic that most planets would be just, like, one type of, like, alien, and then they would all have the same culture and the same biome, like, across the entire planet. Because if you think about, like, our world, right, like, there's tons of different cultures, different biomes and stuff. But I like that Scavenger's Reign focused on one planet, and there were many different biomes in that planet. And the coolest part of that, like, show's vibe is that humans just feel like they're thrown into this alien ecosystem where nothing's, like, evil, but it's not safe because it's an ecosystem and you're just part of the prey cycle now. Like, you're just part of the cycle of life.
Ooh, that's some deep stuff.
Crash landed crew is also having their own, like, interpersonal stuff. At the same time, they're trying to, like, survive in this super, like, alien, like, animalistic, like, world. It's a really cool vibe, and the animation's great.
That's cool. Yeah, I definitely, like, see what you mean about sci-fi shows doing, and sci-fi media doing stuff like that. And I always felt like that must be their way of making different planets, like, a metaphor for different places on Earth. You know, they want it to be digestible for their readers, but I always thought, or their watchers, and I always thought that was kind of dumbing it down for their audience a little.
Yeah, no,
like, it's
I
like
see what you mean.
we can comprehend that it's more of what we know to be on Earth, and not everything needs to be a direct metaphor.
It's the quantity over quality thing. It's like, do you need to give us that many planets and galaxies, whatever? Like, just focus on fleshing out at least a couple of them and making them feel like full worlds, I think, is the issue. But Scavenger's Reign does do that, so slay.
But low-key, I feel like if we really did have interplanetary travel and, like, intergalactic travel, it would low-key start to feel like that.
Like, what do you mean?
Like, cultures would blend together, and going to one planet is like, okay, you come to our planet and the dominant species is, like, us humans, and you go to another planet and there's another species that's totally different from humans that's dominating that planet. And when you go there, even though there are going to be different biomes, the majority takeaway you're going to get from that is, like, that dominant species, and you're just going to, like, group it together in your mind, which is, like, bad storytelling, but I guess it's kind of, like, representing the way that a future intergalactic, I don't know, traveler, should we say colonizer, would see the world if that were to happen in real life. Potential colonizer. I don't know. We don't know this person's journey, but I can only assume what would happen.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why people are always comparing the sci-fi genres with the Western.
That's good.
The colonization vibes. But yeah, that's an interesting take. Like, you're saying that it kind of, the way that the alien cultures kind of get flattened out is representative about how people tend to, like, flatten out difference into just, like, this vague other.
Yes. Yeah,
that's good.
Exactly.
I still don't like it, though. Sci-fi shows do better.
Yeah, no, yeah. I never knew that there was a show that could offer us more, but
I know. I don't consume that much sci-fi, so I can't say whether or not, like, other places do this better, but I do like it when we spend more time with specific planets and there's more variation within the planet itself. Do you have any favorite sci-fi stuff?
I was just thinking about the Owl House again, but that's not sci-fi.
Yeah, I guess it's not. I would say She-Ra is more sci-fi adjacent than the Owl House, and that's still, like, fantasy.
Yeah, the Owl House is, like, very, I think, firmly fantasy. I was just thinking about how the Boiling Isles is, like, for most of the show, the only place that you explore in the demon realm, and I'm like, that can't be true, that everybody lives on the Boiling Isles that doesn't make any sense. And later in the show, they drop some lore that it isn't. And you don't really explore beyond that, even though there is diversity and like biodiversity on the Boiling Isles. There's like the kneecap that's really high up is snowy and stuff like that. But you don't really explore beyond the Boiling Isles except when you go to that island of all those Titan hunters. Other than that, it's not super expansive. Anyway, that Owl House is a bad example for like pretty much anything because who knows what else they were planning because they were cut short.
Yeah, I feel like that's okay though, like when they do it like that where it's you just focus on one place but you leave it open to like audience interpretation that there could be other places out there. I feel like that's also a valid way to handle it. But I also think, maybe I'm evil for this, but I do think fantasy's better at doing this because usually it's set on one world, right? So you kind of are automatically in the mindset that this is like an Earth analog. So like places like Middle Earth, for example, even if it's basically all in like Europe, it's still like distinct cultures even within that. And it's like more fleshed out and stuff.
That's true.
Yeah. Because otherwise it'd feel like pretty stupid if everything was just like, this is like America. I don't know. I don't think most fantasy things pull in America, but...
Like, world building is hard. I'm reading Wicked still. Still working on it.
Slang.
I read 2 pages yesterday.
Noise.
There's so much world building. It's like so much beyond the original source material, which I was either The Wizard of Oz or like whatever came before that. It's crazy. And what I really like about the world building and storytelling there is they never really explain things clearly. They just keep mentioning it until eventually you just kind of like get the vibe and you accept it.
That's common, I think, with SFF.
Yeah. I like that. I mean, I guess it's just good writing and not like shitty fan fiction that has a bunch of, or not fan fiction, published books do this too, where they just have info dumps and like
exposition,
context, exposition. Like, it's fine. It's not like there isn't exposition. It's just like the systems of power and stuff like that are explained very discreetly.
That's good. That is just good writing. Because honestly, like, I know we've been complaining about like movies and shows getting worse and stuff, but like books are getting worse too. Not all of them, but in certain genres, book talk, etc. But like Sarah J. Maas's books, they do the exact thing that you just said that this book doesn't do, where there was literally, I swear, like a 5-page description of the protagonist. I think it was like In a Court of Thorns and Roses or whatever the hell the name is.
Yeah, I think that's the first one or the most famous one.
Yeah, and in that book, the protagonist just stands in front of a map for like 5 pages and describes everything on the map to like orient you in the world.
That's very confusing to me because I felt like as a literary trend, we were moving away from that sort of things, those sort of things, because I remember reading The Hobbit in high school. And
oh my god, The
I've
Hobbit.
never finished The Hobbit. Because I was like, what is with all of this exposition? Like, why are you spending 2 paragraphs describing the field? It's just a field.
Yeah, okay. I will defend Tolkien in this moment, not for his racism. Always. Ooh. Never for that. But yeah, like slogging through Lord of the Rings and all those descriptions, sometimes it was extremely painful. Like, I swear to God, this is probably not true, but in my like childhood memory, I remember there being like an entire fucking chapter that was just him describing like the red of the leaves on the mountains, like on the or whatever. Like, it was like this red was just like so like such a deep red or something like that, and I was like, oh god, like how many pages has it been? But I will say there are certain scenes, like I remember reading about like the elven feasts and stuff that like Frodo would attend, and I felt like I was tasting that food. It was too real.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so sometimes it worked, and that I think is just like a symptom of like older books. Like, people maybe just, I don't know, had longer attention spans or something, so like older books might have just had more description. That was like the style. But Sarah J. Maas isn't even good at describing things. I'm sorry, I'm like such a hater,
Oh shit.
But it was actually just like terrible writing, because it's like, that's not, it's like the trope everyone makes fun of, where it's like you have your main character look in the mirror and describe all their features.
Is that a trope? That's like I never registered that that was a trope, but
It
now
is.
that you said it, I have read it so many times. Actually,
Yeah, and like, that's obviously, rules are meant to be broken, you know, people can write what they want, but it's kind of like that thing where it's just like, you need to show, not tell. Like, don't just tell me like random facts about, oh, this country borders this country. Like, let us live in the world and experiencing it. That's why like Wicked probably feels a lot more immersive than something like SJM's writing, because she's just like dumping facts on us that don't matter to us yet, so who's even retaining that?
yeah, that's funny. I definitely do think the difference with like writing now and Tolkien's writing is our lack of attention spans, and I feel like people want to write to cater towards that. The case of Sarah Jessica Maas is really interesting to me because I don't know what convinced me that those books were supposed to be good. Like, I don't know if it was like the cover art.
They're so popular.
It may be the popularity, even though I must have thought that they were popular somewhere besides Book Talk, because that would have been a red flag for me.
I think they were just popular even before Book Talk like really.
I was just like popular everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, they were probably popular on Book Talk and stuff, but before I was on TikTok, I still would hear about them being really popular.
So my friend had a copy of, I think, the first one.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my god, like I've seen that book. That's a really popular like piece of literature. I think I asked her if
Piece
it was
of
like
literature
an
is
old or a
crazy.
new book. And she was like, oh no, that's trash. And I was like, oh.
Gagged.
But I still see it, you know, I see it in the store. It's in the like popular section at Target. I don't know. Have you read them? Like, maybe we shouldn't be sitting around passing judgment like that.
I'm gonna get flamed for this, but I read them in the sense that I read the first book, so I did read the first book. But then after that,
Okay.
I read like the first two, like this next 2-3 books maybe. But the way I read them was I only read the dialogue. The after the first book. The first one I did read though.
That's totally fine. Also, you read the entire first book.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. I remember like reading it and thinking, God, this is so boring. Which is like,
Why did you go for the second and third?
I guess because it was so popular. Like, I wanted to know like what was up. And I wanted to know like the crazy shit that was going down, because I mean, there's all the memes about the sex scenes, which I thought it would have like way more sex scenes than it did, but it really did not. It had like one maybe per book.
Oh.
They were not good, just so anyone knows. But there's like
bummer.
so many memes about them, because there's one where they're literally like having sex in the tent in the middle of like the battlefield, and the battle is ongoing while they're having sex, and it's like their moans like intertwined with the sounds of the dying, the moans of the dying. And I was like, what is happening? And then there was one where they had sex in like his mountain house or something, and it's like the sex was like so powerful that they caused an earthquake or something.
What?
Yeah, it was like the next level beyond like they broke the table. It was like the earthquake.
Is he like a wolf? I heard about the tent one on like TikTok
It's
or
so
something.
crazy.
But is he a wolf or something? Because I feel like I saw something where like he was growling, or was that just
No,
like,
I think he's just
a
growling.
man
Like,
growl?
I mean, he's not a human. He's a fae. That's the other thing.
Okay.
Oh my god, that pisses me off.
Interesting.
Have you read a lot of fae books? Like, have you read like Holly Black or anything like that?
No, I actually have not read any, but I remember you like having this phase.
Yeah, so like I like fae stuff. It's fun. But Sarah J. Maas is not, that's not fae. Like, those are just like buff dudes with like pointy ears. That's not right. Like, you know, obviously everyone has free will. You can read and write what you want. But I would say like Holly Black is a much better example of like fae done right, because they actually feel like kind of monstrous. There's like diversity there in the fae, and it draws from like actual like British and stuff, like mythology about like the different fae and stuff. So there's like different types of them, but then, you know, she obviously puts her own twist on them. So it's like fun, and it feels very like alien and like fantastical and stuff. The trend of this episode is just me liking things that feel weird and actually different than just like our world, I guess.
No, that's so valid, because it's like what makes things good is just that they feel real and like holistic and make you feel something. and don't make you feel like shit and empty.
Facts. No, I mean, that's why I'm reading science fiction and fantasy a lot of times, is to feel transported to, like, a different world. And if you're just gonna, like, slap in some, like, oh, my dominant fae boyfriend who has a rippling six-pack, it's like, okay, that's fine, I guess, but not really why I read, like, fantasy. And
He's like, that's just like my real life. I came here to escape.
Yeah, and it's just like, I mean, hopefully not your real life. Like, I think there's definitely a place for, like, you know, silly, like, romance novels and stuff, indulgent things. I think that totally has a place, and that's totally valid to, like, want to read that stuff and produce that stuff. But I just think it's annoying when most of, like, adult fantasy and stuff is going towards that trend.
Is it an adult book or is it a YA book?
It's often shelved with YA books, but it shouldn't really be because obviously it has sex in it, so that's not really, like, appropriate for, like, 13-year-olds.
YA doesn't have...
No, YA
I thought
doesn't have sex, I'm pretty sure.
I thought middle grade was... Is that not a thing?
Middle grade is a thing, but that...
Really?
I mean, middle grade... Wait, what do you mean? Like, is it a genre?
Because I have The Sun and the Star right in front of me. I just got it from the library today, and it was in the YA section. It has, like, a YA sticker on it. And I don't know, maybe the library just doesn't, like, delineate that much. I thought that Riordan was...
Yeah, Riordan is a middle grade author, but the thing is he aged up all of his characters, and I think the other author on it, I think they're probably not a middle grade author. They're probably like a YA or adult author, so it makes sense that The Sun and the Star would be... Also, they're writing to, like, us, I think, a little bit. Not like us, maybe a little younger. But it's, like, the people who grew up with Nico and, like, wanted to have that book. Like, I'm sure it'll be really good for, like, younger kids, too. But I think they're trying to, like, catch both audiences.
I see. Well, I'm excited to read it. Have you read it?
I have not, no. I kind of... Not gonna lie. I will say Rick Riordan's writing just went really downhill. Yeah, like, Percy Jackson was so fun. It was so, like, the voice was so good and it was so entertaining. It was, like, a great read, and then it just got worse and worse and worse with every series.
Do you think it's because his third person is bad?
I don't know, because I swear, like, Trials of Apollo was in first. Basically, I just think his books kind of went downhill.
Yeah, I thought maybe it was a perspective thing because I read them in, like, 5th grade or whatever, and then I read PJO again, like, a couple years later, and I was like, wait, these are, like, not that good. What is this? But I think I'm just generally kind of biased against first person, or I was for a while. I picked it up again last year. I was, like, reading The Lightning Thief, like, during dinner consistently for a while because just, like, college sucks sometimes, and I was like, I need this. I was like, actually, this slaps. Like, it's so funny and just, like, really nice and entertaining, and, like, Percy is so likable.
Yeah, exactly. That was the issue with Trials of Apollo, is Apollo's really not likable at all. He was very unlikable.
Right, because he's a god, right?
Yeah, and just, like, his personality was just, like, pretty annoying. He didn't have the same charm as Percy, I think. And then also the side characters, I also found them annoying, which I will make a caveat. Like, I generally find a lot of characters annoying, but because I'm used to that, I can usually look past it in media, but that was just too much. Yeah. I will say, it is disappointing, though, because, like, obviously I really like Percy Jackson and stuff, so it was kind of sad to see it, like, slowly kind of, the writing quality decline, or at least the entertainment value decline. But I will say a middle grade author that progressively got better, at least while I was still reading his work, was Brandon Mull.
Who wrote?
Fablehaven, The Five Kingdoms, Beyonders. That was my favorite, probably.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I knew some people who read those. They were, like, the hardcore, or I just saw them as, like, hardcore readers.
Oh, that's so funny. I mean, they're pretty normal fantasy books.
The books were, like, big, right?
Oh, yeah, maybe they were big. The writing wasn't hard, but it was, because they're middle grade, but they might have been bigger. They're not Aragon, though.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Did you read those?
No, I didn't read any of that stuff. I needed the like fantasy books that had like the modern bridge, you know, like Harry Potter, PJO. Having the like modern connection, I think is really helpful for people when you're like having trouble connecting with the fantasy aspect of it. I think that's the whole point of doing that, so it's more relatable to kids. You're like reading high fantasy, you have to like think a little bit to relate to it, because you have to, you know, it's not like literally your life, where Percy is just like an American kid and now there's like things going on. I guess Harry Potter is British, but
yeah, still Western. Yeah. No, that's really interesting. And I feel like that kind of ties in with you really liking the Owl House too, because it also has that bridge.
Oh yeah. Well, I was just gonna say Anne Luce is like such a relatable character to me personally.
Yeah, I think she's written to be very relatable.
She's written for an audience of our kind of people.
Gay? Wait, which one?
No,
not
like,
white.
Like a fandom nerd.
Oh, I'm just too identity politics pilled at this moment.
I was gonna say, like, wait, maybe I don't want to implicate you, but I feel like you are implicated
in being fandom.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I claim that.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what is with his silence? Like,
no, that's why I was just confused, because I was like, there's many aspects of her that could be relatable, because she's gay, she's not white, she is like fandom and nerdy, and she's also kind of like gender nonconforming. So there's like lots of things. I was like, wait, which one are you referring to? But that's why she's like a cool character.
No, I was referring to the fandom, but yes, all of those things as well.
Yeah, no, it's actually kind of crazy. Like, now that I just listed off all that stuff about Luce, it's like, whoa, that is like a character that exists now for kids, which is like really awesome.
Yeah. No, it's so great. I love Luce.
Yeah, she's great. I think she has that kind of like charm that like Percy has and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Not saying they're like the same, but like as in they're like likable characters that are like a little goofy and stuff and have that like rebellious streak against authority and are just like kind and empathetic.
Yeah, they're definitely very different characters, but I think I like a really optimistic protagonist that still like feels real.
I didn't know though that was why you were more into those type of books, because it makes sense now looking back. I guess Narnia also kind of falls into that category, whereas like you couldn't really get into Lord of the Rings, and then like you didn't finish She-Ra, but you did finish the Owl House. This is like very enlightening for me.
I'm such an all-American teen. What can I say?
Yeah, no, that's cool. I mean, so you like that aspect of fantasy, but you also want it to feel like more grounded in like your reality, so it feels relatable.
I mean, I think that everyone who liked those books really liked the idea that, and I think that's kind of why the authors wrote them, because they understood that like wish fulfillment of like being a normal kid and then suddenly something crazy happens. And I was always like, I lived my life on the edge as a child, always just like waiting to like open a door one day, and then there was like another dimension on the other side.
Dude, that's real. The fairy doors.
Yeah.
I remember, I think, was it like the Secret Garden or one of those where they had like the garden was like a pathway to like a different world or something. I'm sure there's many books like that, but always, those always like I was always enamored with those types of stories. And I remember I'd be like at the beach or something and I'd see like something move in the water and I'd be like, well, it could be a mermaid. We'd never know.
Right? Okay. This was so funny. I was at the beach with my friend the other day.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's in the ocean is none of my business. Quoting this like meme that had been circulating about, have you seen that?
Yeah, I think I have seen it.
This fish that looks, the mango with the teeth.
Oh, maybe not actually.
It's like a fish that looks like a mango, except it also looks like it has like buck teeth.
Oh God.
It's really weird. And then the comment is like, this is why the ocean is none of my business. And that's so true. Like, I love going to the beach, but like, I don't fuck with the ocean. Deep sea water, no thank you.
No, it's scary.
For all we know, there is like sentient life down there.
Exactly.
You know, in
it's
like
so
a
alien.
mermaid way. I don't actually believe that there's like half human, half fish people down there, but like, who's to say that sirens or like some sort of mer folk aren't real? I stand by that.
Yeah, honestly, it's how much of the ocean is explored, some like crazy small percentage or something like that. And that's
Yeah.
also, not to totally bring this back, but that's also why it pisses me off when those sci-fi worlds are so one-dimensional, one note. Because it's like, just look at the ocean and the fucking mango fish.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so much that that we don't know. And my theory is that since humans currently are incapable of like occupying the ocean and like fully taking control over it because it's such like a mysterious, like vast, dangerous force, that our means of controlling it right now are just like polluting the shit out of it.
Dude, that's kind of deep.
There's nothing else we can do, and we like destructive humans want so badly to control it and we can't, and that's how we copium.
Yeah, we try to hurt what we don't understand.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, were you into like mermaid books as a kid?
I was. I really liked The Tale of Emily Windsnap.
I was just about to bring that up.
Random girl like going about her life, and one day
Yes.
she's a mermaid, you know. I remember I used to go, my friends and I went to Malibu Beach a lot. We tried to be like Barbie and we go to Malibu.
Oh my god, slay.
And I mean, like, not that much, just like for someone's birthday or something. We would go to the beach and we'd go in the ocean, and we were like, okay, we need to like say the incantation, and then we would like try saying different things and like splashing water different ways and like doing like weird things with seaweed because we thought that like we needed to wait for our mermaid tales to come.
Oh, I see. The rituals.
Exactly. Yeah, no, like we were those freaky kids like doing witch stuff in the ocean.
That's how it should be.
I never like had full doubt because I kind of I knew that I had to believe it a little bit at least for there to be any hope that it might happen.
Yeah, you held on to that. Yeah, I don't know. That was nice to read books and just like get lost in the delusion, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like that doesn't really happen
Yeah.
as much when you're like an adult.
Yeah, I forget often how impactful so many different like medias were to me as a child. But I guess that was one of them.
Yeah, that was definitely a big one. I think there were probably some other ones as well, but I just can't recall them off the top of my head. Like mermaid books. Did you ever read those like fairy ones? Or like the Greek god ones? Because I didn't, but like they were popular.
I think I read the little fairy ones that were like really thin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did read those. My most favorite fairy book is I remember when I was in kindergarten, my school like classroom had the original fairy books that like the Tinkerbell Disney franchise was based off of, and it had like all of these other fairies. Like I remember there was this fairy that didn't have wings and she rode a sparrow around. I don't remember her name, but I thought that was so interesting, and I really...
That sounds so familiar.
Yeah, it was like a real book, but I was so confused because it was like Tinkerbell and like Silver Mist were in it, and like all of Tinkerbell's other friends, but it wasn't like giving Disney. And this was before I knew that like Disney like was adapting everyone else's property at the time, or like, you know, that's
right.
What they do. So I was super confused, and I was most confused about why that one fairy who didn't have wings wasn't in any of the movies.
Kind of sus, because it's giving like analogy for disability.
It is, and it was sus, and I even thought so in kindergarten.
Yeah, no, that seems familiar to me. That's like bringing back such a mental image. Justice for her, whatever her name was.
Oh, you know what? I take it back. These books, they were made by Disney.
But the art style was different, right?
The art style was different. They were just like companion books. They're Disney, Pixie Hollow Disney Fairies. Rainy in the Mermaid Lagoon. I think her name was Rainy.
That's cute.
And I also thought she was really pretty. That was actually probably
slay.
the main reason why I was interested in her. Let's be so for real.
That's real though. Yeah, this is just reminding me of like how into Greek mythology I was, like as a kid. And I know that's like every bitch that was into Percy Jackson, you know? Like I loved reading like those collections of like myths and stuff, and like when Rick Riordan dropped his like adaptation of the Greek myths told from like Percy's POV or something like that. I remember being really into reading those like storybook collections of like old fairy tales and stuff, and I just really like holding them and like looking at the pictures and stuff, because it was just so magical.
Yeah, like with the cool covers.
Yeah, exactly. And like the pretty illustrations. Wow. Bring back Whimsy.
I was such a sucker for that stuff. I look at my bookshelf still and I'm so, I guess I'm sad because I have like a couple of those like illustrated Harry Potter editions.
Oh, yeah.
That I got as like gifts before. Well, after J.K. Rowling had started on her bullshit, but like before I was cognizant of it.
Right.
I just look at them and they're so beautiful. And I think about the money that was spent on them. I just think it's sad that I don't want to look at them anymore, you know?
That's real. And if all of you are wondering what you should instead invest your money into, other than illustrated Harry Potter editions, I suggest going online, Twitter or something like that, and looking for zines that are currently in the making. Because there are a lot of cool artists out there and some writers as well that put together these beautiful zines themed usually around a fandom or a theme. I have one called Dames that's based around like the theme of like female knights essentially, and they do one every year. And so those are really great investments if you want to look at beautiful pictures and also support small artists.
Do you have any specific zine recommendations?
Honestly, I don't know that many of them, but that Dame zine does one every year. I think they had like one on horns, so like everyone was kind of like furry coated, and then the one I did was just like random knights, and then I think they did one on like divinity or something like that. I don't know what they're...
Ooh, divinity. Is this like a print one that you have to buy?
Yes. They are a little expensive though, I will say. Yeah, Dames... The incoming one is... The one that they're currently in production with is Fantasy Warriors, but I do believe it's closed. But there's plenty of blogs on like Tumblr and stuff that collect them, so you can like see all the ones that are going on. And if you just like Google like zines, I'm sure that'll come up as well. But yeah, the best place is probably like that I look for them is like through Tumblr. But yeah, support small artists, support small businesses. Slay.
So true. It's a better use of your money.
Yes, and you can look at cool art and it's pretty. And they also do digital ones too if you are on a budget. They're cheaper.
Slay.
Back to what you were saying about looking at your bookshelf and being sad. Like, I'm just looking at my bookshelf and... But yeah, I would usually like borrow from the library or something like that. And then I would just buy the ones that I really, really liked. And I'm seeing like... Do you remember Carry On?
Yes, I saw that at the library today. I almost got it, low-key.
Yeah, and I was just like remembering like that era when I feel like I still had whimsy about like fantasy books.
Like now you're too like caught up in the critical race theory.
The critical race theory
books?
of it all.
Is that what you mean?
I think it's just like every time I've tried to pick up a fantasy book recently-ish, it hasn't really hit. Like not even in a way where it's like, oh, this is problematic. It's just been kind of mid. But I will say the last fantasy book I read that was like pretty fun, for me at least, was Crier's War. Have you heard of that one?
People love that one. Yeah. Sapphic shit.
Sapphic,
right?
yeah. It's about like a princess, and then I believe she's like an android. That's not what they're called, but because it's fantasy and stuff. But she's like an automaton, and then the automatons are the ruling class, and then her lady in waiting is a girl from the revolution who's like supposed to infiltrate the palace and kill her, but then they fall in love.
Wait, that sounds kind of sus.
It's giving The Handmaiden. Okay, it's not actually giving The Handmaiden vibes-wise, but it's kind of giving The Handmaiden. Not plot-wise or anything, but just like the dynamic. But I thought it was cute. The second book was a little more boring than the first, but that was fun. Maybe I'll read Wicked.
You should read Wicked.
I'll read Wicked.
You can borrow it.
Get back into my fantasy era.
I will. Here, how about we do this? In 2 weeks when I see you, I will be done with it.
Okay.
So really a week and a half. And then I will give it to you.
And then we can talk about Wicked. And then maybe we'll bring back Whimsy.
I think we just need some more Whimsy. I feel like, I don't know, the theme of this episode has been like childhood disillusionment. Maybe or maybe a more positive
childhood nostalgia, I think.
childhood and nostalgia.
Of what it was like to feel wonder, you know, and believe that maybe fairies were real. And I feel like we should bring that back a little.
That's true. Yeah, I do still kind of think that mermaids are real.
Yeah, never writing it off, you know. It makes life a little more interesting.
Yeah, why not? And also there's like so many like strange creatures that like actually are real. And if you know where to look, like there's some weird ass shit.
That's
Like I always think
facts.
it's funny to bring up the Owl House again, how like drafts are actually from the Boiling Isles, like canonically.
Right.
And I really liked that because it's a reminder that throws you some perspective that's like, yeah, actually like drafts are kind of weird. Like what an interesting animal that like actually exists, you know? And then I'm like looking at my dog and I'm like, she's kind of weird. Why do I have a dog in my house that I like hang out with? You know? And it's like the world is like strange, and if you look at it through that lens, it's like, wow, it is whimsical. Like my everyday life is kind of whimsical.
That's so facts. And I think with that, we've reached the end of the episode. So go recontextualize your life. Think about how it's weird. Find some whimsy. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.